Sparkers. Welcome to our podcast. Today we have an amazing guest with us, Jenny Kolb. I have known Jenny for 20 plus years and we used to work together, and life has happened for both of us in a lot of ways. And I have stayed connected with her on Facebook. So I have watched your life just transform, and for you to just go through your own personal journey of complete transformation. And I want to know all about it, how you got on it, where you started, where you are now, and what advice you have for everybody else that might be on the same path.
Well, thank you, Crystal. It's so nice to see you. I'm so
Yes.
glad and grateful that we've stayed connected all these years.
Me
And
too.
thanks for your kind words. It's nice to hear. I stay so focused on doing my work that I don't really think about that what it looks like from the outside so much.
Yep. Good for you. That's actually good advice right there, too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth in that.
Mm.
Yep.
I agree. I think I have a few amazing traditions, two of them really, that have taught me that it's an inward journey,
Hmm.
and I feel that that's accurate over these years. That's what it's been for me
Yes.
more than
Yes.
anything.
Right. So tell us where you started. I already know the answer to this, but not everyone does. So, where did you start when we worked together and where you went from there? Tell us a little bit about where you were in life and where you are now, relatively speaking.
Okay. Well, when I met you, I actually was probably on the tail end of one of the most obvious experiences I had, a result of my alcoholism that I didn't really understand at that time was alcoholism. I had gotten into an accident on a dirt bike with a friend and shattered my wrist, and it was after consuming alcohol and being at a party and just, oh, let's go for a ride. And, I definitely could feel that it was not a good decision to make, but I made that decision anyway, and found myself, um, you know, walking up the side of a mountain in Steamboat, and didn't even know that my wrist was completely shattered, and had to go to the hospital and repair from that accident. When I met you in Steamboat, I believe that I was still trying to convince myself that I could continue to drink alcohol,
Yes.
and life was definitely showing me otherwise, but I guess I wasn't quite ready yet. So I started to do some work on myself through a program called The Artist's Way. And that gave me some experiences, although they were short lived, of having periods of time where I did a lot of journaling and a lot of self reflection and a lot of art without being under the influence of alcohol. And it was a really amazing experience.
Mhm.
A good start, anyway.
Yeah. So, what made you decide that you were ready and done with that life?
Well, that took many years later, but that was the beginning at that time where I started to pay more attention to how it was affecting me. Um, I ended up back in Chicago, 2012,
Mhm.
and I was in a cafe in the middle of the afternoon, and a shooting broke out in the cafe. And I found myself hiding under a desk, and somebody was shot in front of me. A young man was shot in front of me. Um, there were a few other people in the cafe, and of course, that was a traumatizing moment for everybody. People were very scared. It was really a very intense, visceral, frightening, just hiding someone else that had been in the cafe got shot in the leg, and that was also another, really probably the beginning of a huge change for me, because in that moment I knew that I was going to need help.
Hmm.
I knew I couldn't just survive or tread water, and just get by with drinking and, trying to like hide from the way that I felt. I knew it was going to be more assistance that I would need at that time.
Isn't it interesting how life delivers signals to us and we either listen or we don't listen, and then they get louder and louder and louder until something happens that you literally cannot not listen.
That's absolutely what happened. Yeah, it just stopped me in my tracks. And
Hmm.
well, actually what it did first was I had gone from being like person who drank every 2 3 days, pretty heavy on those days that I would binge drink, to being a person that I drank every day. And I drank heavily, and I couldn't recover from it. I just crashed. I was not employable by that time. And my family actually intervened and said, "We know that you're not okay and that you need help, and we will help you, but you're going to have to play by our rules," which I'm so grateful for. And so at that point in time, I started going to therapy. That was a step two in the right direction. My mom was employed at Chicago Police. She was what's the word I'm looking for? She's not an officer. She's
Office
not.
person, dispatcher.
Yeah, she worked in administration, and I know
Ah,
there's a word for it, but I can't think of it at this time. But she worked for she was the assistant to the chief at Chicago Police, and they had a benefit there for people that were family members, and so I was able to start going to counseling through the
mm.
Chicago Police Department, and my therapist was a police officer and
Oh,
a
wow.
psychologist. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, it was.
So, you did that, and then how long did that go on? And then you just like, were you ready at that point when your family did an intervention? Were you ready? Like for people who are out there saying, I know that I need help, but I'm not ready. Or if family's been asking them for help, if they're watching this today, what would you say to them in that moment of where you were?
Well, I'll say this. I needed more help than, but this was the beginning. And I know I'm such a blessed person. And, it wasn't easy on my family for them to watch me or worry or wonder what was going on with me. So for them to offer that help to me, I know that was a huge turning point. If I had to cooperate, and I'm so glad that I did. And from that point on, I did have a couple, almost 2 years where I didn't drink. I went through some evaluation psychologically at that time, and they had diagnosed me with bipolar 2
Mm-hmm.
disorder and post traumatic stress disorder. And they felt those felt accurate to me, those diagnoses. They I was medicated for a little while, and being on medication and also getting help from my family did put me in a situation where I felt like it was important for me to not drink alcohol, and also, be respectful of the help they were giving me to the best of my ability.
Right.
um what we know too about addiction is that, if somebody could love us out of addiction, a lot of us wouldn't struggle with addiction.
Yep.
We could just stop, but that's not what happened.
Right.
At that point, I there were many years between the time where I was about 32 years old. And at that point, by the time, this happened in Chicago, was, 10, 12 years of
Mhm.
continued drinking.
Right.
And so, of course, it got worse. I got worse. It is absolutely a progressive disease, and that is
Yes.
what I experienced. So by the time I got to the place I was, though I was getting some therapy and I had my family support, I also developed a lot of healthy lifestyle habits at that time. My issues were much deeper than that, and I had not engaged any kind of real structure yet,
Mm.
nor could I go as deep as I wanted to go. I knew
Mhm.
I wanted that. And I said that to my psychologist.
Mhm.
I said, I feel like there's something I can't quite reach.
Mhm.
Around that time, a friend of mine that I had met when I was living out in California reached out to me and asked me how I was doing. And oh, I had gone back out by this point. Of course, everything just went right back to where I was, just like that.
Yeah.
Um, I was not doing well at all. I had a nice, neighborhood that I lived in, great friends and stuff, but um, I had some success as an artist, but I had no success as a sane human.
Right.
I was a disaster, and he said that he had something that could help me.
Mm.
And so I asked him what it was, and he told me about iboga,
Mhm.
which is a plant from Africa. It grows in Gabon and the Cameroon and the Congo area. It's native to
Mhm.
there, and it's been used by the Boiti people. We don't actually know how old it is or when it was discovered, but they say the first people knew about it, and it became their teacher. It's a spirit, a big, big spirit, and it's a healing plant. And that's what he told me about. So, at first I was pretty afraid of that. Actually, all the way up until I was there, I was really afraid of it.
Yes.
It sounded really powerful and very intimidating, and I had a lot of psychological issues at this point, more than I had been diagnosed with, and
Mhm.
I was I was just terrified of doing it. But I also, like, something in my heart told me, this is your chance.
Yeah.
I think, take this chance, because if you do this, it might really help you.
Yeah.
And so within 6 months of finding out about it, I was able to gather the funds to go to Costa Rica and do my first ceremony.
That's amazing. So I am so curious. I want to really focus for a second about people who are literally living their lives functional. They are functioning, they are going through it, they're going to work, and it is a facade. It is something that they are not addressing, they're not being completely honest about, they're not um, facing in a trajectory that's going to be healing for them. Um, in your opinion, I will just probably say in your experience, did something have to happen that you shifted that, or did you just get sick and tired?
Well, Crystal, really what had happened was that by the time I got to that place in my life, I had an inner experience that a lot of people that I know in recovery, I hear them speak of, and it was the gift of desperation. Um, and I just knew that if I didn't do something, that it was going to kill me. And if it killed me, then it was going to destroy my family. And that whoever I was meant to be or could be, come, who I could become, who I really was, would never happen. And I would just die tragically and for
Mm.
no, no, just would have no opportunity to ever do anything or change anything about myself, or just, what I now know is just be able to live a happy, content life,
Mhm.
a peaceful life that's sane, that
Yes.
is purposeful and is beautiful.
Mhm. You've known me a long time too, and it's
Yeah,
taken me a long time to get to that point of just literally like, I don't need all the stuff. I don't need that big, huge life. What I need and want is peace. I want meaning. I want purpose. And when you get to that point, like, no one can take that away from you. It is such a gift. And it is just living with such intention and such a meaningful every day, my plants and my garden and my animals and every little thing, the sunrise, like, makes me happy because I'm content. And I think that is like the goal for so many. It's not like you get there and you've arrived forever. It's not like I don't still have to do work to keep it that way. But yeah, it's a different way, and it is magical, man. I love it.
it is. I agree. I'm so happy for you too.
Thank
It
you.
it's like thinking back on that time, it just seems like a lifetime ago. My dog is about to show up.
That's okay.
This is one of
Uh,
my joys every single day. This is Gunner, and
Hi, Gunner.
he's such a
He needs
sweetheart.
love too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just
Yeah.
so like he's one of the creatures, that I get to take care of and do well with now because I
Right.
can,
Yep.
which is such a gift, to just be a person that other people can depend on and rely on, and I'm
Right.
trustworthy. And I can look at I know when I look in the mirror, if there's something I do need to do, like you said, it's not like I'm just perfect all the time or anything, but I have all these tools.
Yes.
And it started with the African Boiti tradition, and
Mhm.
that continued for many years. I was trained, and
Mhm.
so it became a part. It's part of me now, and um, that is something. The gift that they gave me, and the adventures that I got to go on after I put the alcohol down, and it was a spiritual moment when I was in Costa Rica and I had my first ceremony. This medicine communicates with whoever is there to get help, and the communication that I got was that part of your life, that chapter of your life is over. It's
Mm,
over.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I love that. That is so amazing. One of the other things that I think is a myth to people is that they have to give up fun and all this, like, I know that we partied a lot when we worked together and we had a good time all the time, and that was very much a part of the culture that I created. Um, and looking back on that now, I have really discovered so many people that I have now surrounded myself with. Like, our interaction has so much more meaning, and we have fun all the time. Like, we have fun doing the ridiculous things. Like, you don't have to be falling down drunk to be having fun. And I think that that is also a myth that I think people don't want to be seen as, I'm not fun anymore, or I'm not the life of the party, or whatever. Um, do you have any advice on that, or words of wisdom that you would share, that life gets better, not worse?
It gets exponentially better for
Yes.
sure. Our definition of fun changes as we change. I feel for me anyway, it's been different things that, different stages where I have put a lot of effort into healing.
Hmm.
and devoted myself to that. And after the work is done, there is these moments of fun, and they are different. They're connected.
Right.
I'm part now, in my life, I'm in Colorado again, a different part of Colorado. I'm in Grand Junction. But I work in the recovery community. I am a member of AA and work the steps. And so I have, I'm part of a non for profit organization where we create community for people in recovery. I get to share my art with people, and they come in and they do art. And some people, they're just getting into recovery, or maybe they're thinking about it. Um, but we have a great time.
Yeah.
We we have a wonderful time, and actually we just had this as a topic of conversation last week, and it really is about like what brings you, what's fun for you now. And
Right.
it's really things of quality, experience of quality with other people, being present, being able to
Right.
help someone,
Mhm.
resting at the end of the day, your head's on the pillow and it's quiet. you know,
Yeah.
to be a good person is fun. To
Yes.
be helpful to other people is fun. I love walking my dog. I like going to the dog park with my dog and meeting other people who love their dogs. That's fun
Yeah.
for me now. So it's a
Yeah.
different definition. I laugh because I like to be at home by 8 o'clock and in my pajamas with a cup of tea. Very different girl than the one that you met.
Yep. I hear you there. So tell me, let's go back to the moment when you were afraid and you were on your way to Costa Rica and you were on your way to start this journey. What would you tell somebody that might be interested in taking that same journey for themselves now? What would they need to know, or how would they even go about that? And how would they overcome the fear of where they are, between where they are and where they're going?
Well, so those are great questions. I would say the most important thing for a person that is considering any kind of plant medicine as part of their healing from whatever, because it helps with so many things. But when we're speaking of addiction, alcoholism and addiction, it's very, very important that a person has a provider that is trained to properly work with somebody who struggles with addiction.
Yes.
So for me, like I am an Iboga provider. I am the first level Iboga provider. So the next level is when a person can actually detox somebody from drugs and alcohol safely. And there's a lot that goes with that. So, as much as there are these very powerful medicines, they are sacred. They are meant to be used properly, and ceremony is a sacred thing, and it is really important that a person does their homework and takes their time choosing their provider. I am part of an alumni of providers, and that's under the teacher Mugenda Mikola. And so we're called Boiti House. And so a person can go there and they can look at the catalog and see who the providers are, what part of the world they're in, what they specialize in, what other kind of life experience they have, and make a decision. They can call any of us. We share, information with each other, and we really just want, just like in any program of recovery, we just want the person to get the help that they're looking for
Right.
and be well cared for during that process.
Awesome. Is that something that we could make available as in the description of this podcast?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. So, for those of you that are listening, please check that out if this is something that you would like more information about, or if you have questions. I know that Jenny would be absolutely more than willing to talk with anybody that is going through this or feeling like maybe I just want to talk to somebody that's been through it. and somebody that might be able to be honest with me and tell me what this looks like, what the steps might be. I love the fact that you're doing the work now also for helping other people with recovery. I think so many people that really are successful in recovery do end up doing that in some way, shape, or form in their life. Um, of it just, and I would say that about myself and trauma. Like for me, coming through the trauma that I have come through, I need to help other people, because otherwise, like I worked way too hard to come this far and not help people. I know how hard it is. I know what kind of work it takes to get through the trauma. So
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you have found that as well for yourself. And
it's a
I
journey, man.
it is. And it makes me think of a couple of things, is like we have to, I think that's the lived experience piece.
Yes.
So my primary function and work right now today is as a certified peer and family specialist here, and I work at Pier 180 in Grand Junction, and we are all recovery. We're a non for profit. We serve the entire community and their families. So anybody who's struggling with addiction, um, is considering, gosh, maybe I could get some help. What we do is provide services for anyone from any path or a path yet not yet chosen. So that's can be really helpful for me. Having the Boite tradition and working the steps through AA have been really, really solid for me. That's what
Yeah.
works for me.
Right.
But I support and I learn about different paths, and there's a lot of beauty and knowledge to be shared. And really it takes, we need to help each other. I
Yes.
didn't do any of this by myself.
Right.
I've had help from very early on, really, and from people and spiritually. I had
Hmm.
help and guidance, and I feel, really to be able to serve in this capacity, whatever hat I'm wearing, I'm helping people, and it's coming from my lived experience. So when
Yeah.
I'm working with someone, they know that when they're telling me about the things that they've gone through, those are not things that are going to make me go, "Oh my god," like I can be with a person and hear their darkness,
Right.
and I can say, this is my darkness, like this is what I did. And
Right.
I think it just gives people permission,
Yeah.
we to create a safe space for people to come and say, I did these things, or I used to think, or I did think this way, or I behaved this way, and it brought so much shame, or confusion. Just, there's a lot that goes with the life of being in addiction that we can't really look at it while we're doing it.
Hmm.
So in recovery, we get to look at it,
Hmm.
and we get to look at it honestly and with accountability and with understanding and acceptance and forgiveness, and to course correct, to make different choices in our life. And one thing that I've heard a lot is addiction isn't a choice, but recovery is.
Mm.
And I feel that's true. And not sometimes it took me 13 years to really choose to get help and listen to it and really make the decision, like, I'm going to do this. Like,
Right.
I have to do this.
Yes.
And I can't imagine my path being any other way than it was, and I'm just grateful for every moment of it.
Right. Well, I appreciate the fact that you have stayed in connection. We've been in and out of connection a little bit, but even when you disappear for a while, you tend to come back. And so, I mean, I just have to say it's been an honor watching you these years. And you have. I want to also say that the openness with which you've shared your journey, that has been the inspirational part. Like, you didn't just go through it; you literally let us all know and celebrate with you. Like, she is taking responsibility and she's changing her life and she's happy. Like, to see the joy in your life today that you share on a regular basis is so fun for me. And I know it is for everybody else. And so I think that that's part of the joy of social media that we have today too, is getting to see that where you are now, in that part of it is what made me want to have this conversation with you.
Oh, well, thank you so
It's,
much. I'm
yeah, I love
Again,
it.
it's wonderful to hear that feedback too, because I feel like I don't really sometimes, social media can feel so overwhelming. And I
Hmm.
do have a lot of connections on there. And I try to be mindful of what I'm saying. I don't want to disrespect like anybody or, just sound even, like I'm bragging because, it was humiliating to
Yes.
go through it. Actually, it wasn't all
Yes.
pretty at all. It was painful
Mhm. Yeah.
to look at, to face myself, to face the way I didn't love myself or respect myself. Like, it was
Mhm.
brutal. But as well, and this is, from my teacher's mouth, it's the truth hurts, but the truth will set us free. And that's, what I've found. For me, is a little bit of I guess, for lack of better words, like tough love around, like, I have to do this hard stuff. I
Yeah.
have to look at stuff that isn't,
Right.
that healing hasn't been like unicorns and rainbows. I mean, there's rainbows, now I see them all the time, but
Yes.
the process was like, it was pretty rough,
Yeah.
some of my experiences, early on, especially in the first few years, I had a lot of challenges, and, I had to recreate myself. And that took a lot of work too, to just really recognize. Just recently, went through the 12 steps, and wanted to get a better understanding of how I related to people, because I've had some difficult, just it's difficult to spend 30 years of your life drinking alcohol and then just pop out the other side and, be like, all right, everything,
Yeah.
I had a lot of
Let's.
work to do around
Yes.
my inner world, and working with other people. And,
Mm.
so that's really something too. That's really what it's all about, is, who we show up as in the world, and how we interact with people, and
Yeah.
the little
Is there?
things.
Yes, for sure. Is there anything that you would leave people with as advice that either was given to you or that you have learned as a little nugget of wisdom that if they took away nothing else from this today, what would you want them to hear?
I think if you are a person who's listening and wondering if, if you have a problem with alcohol or addiction, if you're thinking about it and your life is a mess, and feel like a, you feel bad inside of yourself, and your mind is, yelling at you all the time, and you think maybe that, you should get some help, I would say take the chance to get some help in whatever way feels right to you. Take that risk, allow some people to see who you really are, as frightening as that can be. Find a handful of people that you can trust, and that you can tell your secrets to, and
Hmm.
reveal those things, and find a process. For me anyway, there's lots of things to do to stay sober, but to be in recovery and to really work on yourself, I for me, that's what I see as the way to stay in recovery, is to do
Yes.
the work. However that method is for a person, is do the hard work. we are worth it. And life does, life is what it is. It's always going to have, some challenges in it, and things are not always going to be the way that we want them. But when we have tools, and when we have a spiritual connection, that we can be okay through anything, and sometimes more than okay.
Yeah. So I have another question on that realm. Does that involve church for you? What aspect of that is a connection to God when you talk about spirituality? Because I do know that a lot of people listening to this, specifically people in my life that are listening to this, that maybe are probably have a closet problem, but they definitely might have a problem. That is, church has never been a safe place for them.
That's a really common issue for people that struggle with alcoholism. And I don't know that that means it's only for people, but if you read the big book of AA, it will tell you right there that most of us come in with, kind of with a problem around that. And for me, call it whatever somebody will. And part of the reason why I love AA is because it is a God of one person's understanding. Uh, and whatever is bigger than us, it's knowing that there's something bigger than us that can help us with that problem. And it is humbling. For me, my first, very, I mean, alcohol was bigger than me, that's for sure, and it was my everything. I didn't even know that at the time, but it was my best friend, and a false, idol, I guess.
Mhm.
But I think that as difficult as that part of it is for most people with addiction and alcoholism, that it's important to explore that. There's most people understand that that is our own discovery. It's pretty personal.
Mhm.
I don't attend a church, but I practice meditation and prayer every day. And
Mhm.
that's what I do. I stay in, what is conscious contact. I talk to the creator every day.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know that I had a lot of like really obvious blocks around that, except for maybe fear,
Mhm.
because I felt bad about, the way I had behaved. So I think I expected some kind of punishment. Um, but it's not what I thought it was. And I think, to go in with an open mind,
Mhm.
that willingness we talk about, just being willing to
Mhm.
try to be open, know that, that willingness is the beginning and it could save our lives. That's a pretty good reason to try,
Yeah,
you know.
love that. I love the fact that ceremony is important to you as well, because I have really found in my life that bringing ritual in, hi Gunner, um, he's ready for some ritual right there. Give me some
He's like, I
love.
want dinner.
We're going to wrap it up right here. I just wanted to just honor the fact that you do take ceremony seriously, and that is something that does matter, because it does. Uh, it is very important in my life, of just little things on a regular basis, that I either make a sacrifice, or that I'm, you know, s- going through the motion of honoring something bigger than myself. So,
Absolutely. And there's so many beautiful and creative ways to do that. I think,
yes.
if we look around, even if a person doesn't go to church and they can't say, I'm this religion or that religion, if you just walk outside and look at the sky and the
Mhm.
trees and, the plants and the animals and life itself, how beautiful life is. And
Yes.
how amazing it is that we're here at all,
Yeah.
so that too, there's beauty everywhere, life is beautiful. And again, I'll quote my teacher, life is the greatest gift that we have.
Hmm.
And without it, we have nothing. We wouldn't have the things that we go through, that we get to heal from, that make us stronger and make us realize just how blessed we are to be here at all. And that's a big thing. And for some people that are deep in, their addiction, hearing something like that can sound, you know, um, maybe that doesn't sound very real to them, or that sounds really far away. But
Right.
again, if there's something inside of them, and it is inside of us, that I think calls to us, that says, hey, let's do something different. Let's try to
Yeah.
live. Let's try to live a good life.
Hmm.
um and that, I don't know, for me, people come to me for help, so I can help them. If they don't try, then I can't do it for them.
Right. Interesting. Well, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for showing up for me in your life. Like, your life has shown up for me and been an inspiration. I just am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for our continued friendship. And I am so proud of you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and for sharing your journey. Because I know, I always say, if we just help one person from each one gets something out of it that changes their life, the ripple effect of that is for generations. And so thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. Thanks for having
Wish
me. It's
you.
been an
Yeah.
honor to be here. I hope I did a good job.
You did. You did. I love it. It was awesome. Did you get more comfortable as we went along?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like
You did.
it's like so much happened
Yeah.
it's a 10-year, you know, of my recovery. It's almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's so many uh facets of it, and
Yep.
I wanted to make sure I honored my Boite tribe and the AA steps, which are,
Mhm.
in AA, Iboga would be considered a drug, so it's been a little bit difficult, um just to be aware of the stigma of that, which is why I love
Right.
peer support, because in peer
Right.
support, it's an umbrella for everyone, whatever path they are on. And also for people that don't practice, a religion or spiritual path, there are pathways for that as well.
Hmm.
Smart recovery is one of them. It's not required to have a spiritual element. It just so happens it's a big part of mine,
Right.
from the get go. So, but yeah, it's. I think there's something for everyone. If somebody
Hmm.
really wants help, there's a way. There's a
Yeah.
way, and if they devote themselves to it, then I do feel that it will help them.
Hmm. I love that. Well, if you could send me any links or any information or your contact information, however you want people to get in touch with you or go directly
Okay.
to a website and choose that way or whatever, but whatever resources that you could send me, then I'll make sure that when we post this, that those resources are posted along with it in the description.
Okay. That's great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Crystal.
Love you. Have a
Oh, I
great
love
rest of
you
your night.
too.
Enjoy the rest of your day off.